No, she should be here. 5:30 and she was headed home, so. I don't know, if he's not here, they. But I got that, right? Did I get it? Right. Right, so this is his Kyle. I know, I see him, Pat. This is called, this is the last one. This is the last meeting. I know that she was her job. Okay. Well, it just.
So we have a quorum. Why don't we get started? Welcome to all here gathered. We'll begin with the public hearing on the tax cap override local law. Does anybody have any comments on it? Zoom land or all? Ed?
There we go. Hi, thank you. I am in favor of you passing this law, which would allow you to override the tax cap. However, I don't want you to take this as a encouragement to exceed the tax cap. In fact, rather the opposite. I don't even think you should use the tax cap as a target. I think you should aim for at most a 0% increase in the actual tax to be paid, and you should do your best to actually lower it wherever possible. And that would include not spending money on things which, shall we say, the town doesn't really need to be doing or spending money on. So please pass the law and then pass the most economic budget you can possibly do. Thank you.
Rhonda?
I wanted to remind you that I had sent you emails dealing with, first of all, Jennings Pond, and had asked you to have a moratorium on the swimming at the pond so that we could have a vote at the next election on whether or not to actually continue with that program that seems to be very poorly attended. And it appears that you've ignored that request, and doing that would save the town thousands of dollars. In addition, I had told you that supporting the Danby seniors was illegal for two reasons. The first reason is that they are not a 501c3, and the second reason is that any money coming from a municipality to an entity cannot benefit.
Rhonda, this is a hearing on the tax cap override.
Yes.
If you're welcome to address the topic you're currently raising during privilege of the floor following this public hearing.
In addition, if you didn't give the money to the Danby seniors, you would be saving thousands of dollars there and wouldn't need to have a tax cap override. I would prefer that.
Anyone else have any comments on the tax cap override law?
But I am giving you the comment.
But not on the tax cap override.
I am. I just said that.
Oh, I must have missed that because
you must have missed that because I was muted by Janice.
No, you weren't. You were muted by me.
So what I said was, if you didn't. Are you going to continue to interrupt me?
Only if you keep, and I'm going off topic.
I'm not off topic.
I don't see it that way.
If you didn't spend the money on the swimming pool or on the pond, and the money to the Danby seniors, then you would probably have enough money to meet your obligations without having a tax cap override. And that's what I recommend. I do not support the tax cap override.
I will say that as currently being considered, the tentative budget is under the tax cap.
I still don't support a tax cap override, period.
I understand. Anyone else? Yes, Kevin.
I don't,
Is it up is on?
I think it's on, from the sounds of it. So, yeah, I don't support a tax cap override. I think it's generally speaking a bad policy to create higher and higher ceiling for taxes. People are starting to really die from the taxes around here in the state and in the locality. And, you know, the fact that the state went through or rather that there was a tax cap done is in response to that. And then to simply find a way to evade that after the public's expressed its desire to have a tax cap seems to me to be irresponsible. And the other problem is it creates a psychological space for, yeah, well, you know, we still got some room to go before we hit the final limit. And the problem with that is that taxes, like other things, seem to fill the available space until somehow they're externally constrained. You've got a constraint with the tax cap. I think you should leave it that way.
My name is Marty Kirch-Kessler. I wasn't planning to speak because it's good public policy to vote to override the tax cap, because should you need to, there are consequences to the municipality or the entity doing that if they don't do the override. And it's kind of scary to me that individuals that want to roll in government don't understand what the process is or what it means or the consequences of this action. This is important action, and what you're proposing is under the tax cap, but it protects the entity. Thank you.
Anyone else want to comment? Anyone? No? Okay, well, then we close the public hearing. Kathy, you missed all the action. So you missed all the action.
I wouldn't miss any action, believe me.
Yeah.
You all missed all the action.
So now we'll call the regular meeting to order. Are there additions or deletions to the agenda?
I had,
I
I don't know if it got added to the agenda. There wasn't anything in the last agenda I saw that says to vote on whether or not to override the tax cap.
Oh, that's a good point.
So that
Yeah,
would
we
need
got
to
to have a
be,
public hearing, but it's not an action item.
right. And
Right.
the other thing, I wanted us to just talk for 2 minutes about possible changes for the zoning in the Hamlet Center.
Yeah, we can make it, we might be able to do that in conjunction with Greg's planning report, which is the one,
Yeah.
which is the thing I added at the last minute because he didn't give it last time and I forgot. He should have put it on. Now it is on.
Okay.
That's 7.3. For those of you who got your agenda after about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Anything else? Okay. Privilege of the floor. Marty.
This is what I really came about. And of course, it's to ask for more money. So, you know, what can I say? I am a member of the municipal, the Danby Youth Commission. And at our last meeting, which was after the budget was proposed by the supervisor, it came to our attention that if we could have $200 for miscellaneous expenses. We're currently undergoing a process of doing a survey, and the members have assumed personally those costs, which I don't think anybody else is particularly, complaining about or anything. But I do think it would be nice if going forward, there was $200 added to, and I don't know, Laura would have to tell you.
Program funds, right?
Yeah, so it's not money that would go to the cooperative extension if it wasn't spent on whatever,
Miscellaneous.
activities, that we would be undertaking. And, if you want a brief report of what the commission has been doing, I think Catherine gives you updates monthly. And, we most recently attended a meeting of all of the youth commissions, and we've been very active, and we hope next year, early in the part of the year, we'll be giving you a report on the survey that we're currently undertaking. Does anyone have any questions?
Might as well say something about the Halloween event.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, we will be co-sponsoring with the Danby Fire Department a Halloween event again this year on Halloween from 4:30 to 6:30 at the fire station. And we're currently recruiting people to bring their children and have fun, and adults to sponsor tables and have fun. And it was a lovely event last year and the year before. And, and we're looking forward to it.
Turning into more parties than just the.
Not this year. Next year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Next year.
we have adjusted our planning calendar accordingly because I really screwed up in terms
No.
of
No.
of the timing in terms of getting information to the newsletter. So there was a little bit of a brouhaha, my fault. Bye. Anything else?
Thanks. Think about it when we get to the budget review part.
That's the other hand.
Yeah, Mauricio.
Can I talk about the noise ordinance law too, or is this separate?
Yeah, you can talk about it whatever you like.
There's something that I just came across it today.
But speak to the mic or they can't hear you.
Hi, this is Mauricio Medina. I'm at 808 Comfort Road here in Danby. I guess what I'm looking at is, what I want to comment on is the current draft of the noise ordinance law as I see it. And I'm going to basically state right out that if that law is enacted, passed as it's currently stated, I'm going to be in a violation. And I got no problem being in violation. My people have been in violation for so many things and for so many years here in this country that I'm going to give you a small demonstration of what I mean by that. I practice both my Christian religion because my family's part Christian. I also practice my native religion because I'm half native. And with that, I honor both. And when I honor both means that at any given time, if I get a call and somebody says a relative or somebody's ill, somebody has passed away, I'm going to take my drum out. I'm going to pray for that person. I'm going to pray for that spirit. That's what we do. And in that spirit of that, I'm sorry to say that, but I've never had a problem with my neighbors. I don't try to offend my neighbors, but I have a right to do this. I'm going to give you a small demonstration, and I hope you guys understand that as it's written, this is going to be a big problem. And I've got no problem getting in trouble for this kind of stuff. We have many times before in the past, and I'm not going to stop doing it. And I will do that anytime I please, anytime I want to pray with my community and my people. So think about that law and what implicates that is for First Nation people, because I'm going to trample that law. If I get a chance to, and if you guys pass it as it is, think about it.
Can I talk about the pond now, Jennings Pond? Jennings Pond.
We wanna wait and do it during
Yeah,
the budget or?
if you want to wait,
you say?
it's on the calendar.
Okay.
It's on the agenda stuff.
Yeah.
Later on.
Under part of our
Now,
budget.
by the way, why in this rule, I moved into town because of that, like, and I want to express every time I feel like it.
Well, let me say, Mauricio, that it's not our intention to trample, that kind of expression of sentiment for anybody. And if the law as it's currently written doesn't accommodate that, then we will probably ought to revise it. Want to comment also, Kevin?
That's not that follow.
Indeed.
You don't want to hear me, sing. So, I'm looking at draft 4. Draft 4 is 11 pages. At one point, the 2 meetings that I was invited to help try to craft something, at one point, we were all tasked to go out and rewrite a new version of the law. And my version was 1.5 pages long. And it had some exemptions for the customary things that we do around here. Version 3 was longer, but it was a lot closer to palatable than this version. This has so many nebulous things, detriment to human health and environment, and unnecessary and unnatural, and it talks about whether something is audible. The limit of human hearing goes down to 0 dB. That's how they came up with the scale. The limit that they're talking about here is 55. Sitting in the back of the room with my sound meter, we've been exceeding that quite a bit so far. Before Mauricio, did his prayer, but I mean, just normal conversation is in the 55 to 60 dB range, and saying that anything that's audible. An airplane went over my head a little earlier today, and it was clearly audible. And so I got out the ADSB thing and looked up how high it was. 38,000 feet. That's a long ways away, but it was still audible. People do things around the town that you can hear. People do things out of the town that you can hear. You can hear when the trap range is being run down in Newfield. You can hear when the gun range that the city runs for their police officers is being used over on Burns Road. There's a lot of things that get heard, and it varies with the weather. It varies with the humidity. Which way the wind's blowing. Yeah, I mean, literally, that does carry the sound. And you could trim this down and make it a narrowly crafted law that basically gets after the kinds of things that happen frequently, that happen repetitively, that are so loud that they really are disruptive, to the normal goings on. But this net is cast so wide that it's going to trip up a whole bunch of different things. And what it's going to do is it's going to be an enabling document that allows one neighbor to get another. And a lot of our noise problems, that were characterized as noise problems, were one neighbor trying to get another for whatever reason, dispute about running power lines, things like that. And they use noise as the tool, but noise isn't the fundamental problem. And if you squash the noise, it'll come out some other way. And so I don't think it's particularly useful. But what I'm afraid of is that this document is going to start pitting neighbors who can use it against other neighbors that, for whatever reason, they don't like something that they do. And instead of building community and bringing the town together, you're going to have all these little divisive battles punctuated by police officers showing up and people arguing about fines. And, as I talk to people around, a fair number of them are planning on not complying, no matter what. And so you're going to get pushback that way. As we started a campaign up to run to, be on the board. And the number one question that people ask me is, where do you stand on the noise ordinance? And they don't want it to be enacted. Your experience may be different with the people that you talk to. But what I'm saying is, for 2 years and longer, people have been saying every way that they can that they don't want this. Do they have to come in with torches and pitchforks? I don't know. All right, thanks.
Hope not. I'm going to comment that this draft was produced by the town attorney after I gave him the quote unquote simple, the simplest thing that we could come up with, which is what that previous draft was. And our town attorney is no fan of noise laws. So his charge was, he looked at it and said, it's a little too simple. In order to be effective, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be in there. And my charge to him was make it as simple as possible, and try not to use the objective standard, since no enforcement agency has a legal way of measuring noise objectively. And what he came up with is a compromise. He said there's some things that are, as he put it, prima facie, clearly on an objective basis, objectionable, and I can list those, and he did. And as well as put in a subjective standard. So we can talk about it. We're not, the question before us tonight is going to be, what do we do next? Now that we've got something from the town attorney, and we'll talk about it. But the driver here is that the board has concluded that there needs to be a law at all in order for there to be any recourse to someone who has a problem. And what that law looks like is what we've been back and forth on for a good long time. Personally, I think that this draft is a lot closer to something that we might entertain. That does the trick without handing people a club, as you were concerned about pitting neighbor against neighbor. Yeah. But we could talk about it more. Let other people comment. Let me see. I'm not sure who had there. Whether it was Ron, Gary, or Ted who first put their hand up. Ted always likes to have the last word. Maybe I'll ask Ron to speak. If I'm not.
I would like. I would like to. I wrote you an email. You and the town board an email, and I would like to summarize for the record what that email said. It basically said that at this point in time, there is no court in the state of New York, whether it is a town court, a county court, or a state or federal court, there's no court that actually honors any metering device. So the vehicle law, the motor vehicle law that limits vehicles to 90 decibels is not being enforced because that law uses a metering device, as does your version of the law. And I'm really disappointed that guy didn't know this at $350, $400 an hour. So I wrote a letter to the superintendent of state police and asked him to work with the governor to come up with something that the courts would find acceptable for a determination of when something is actually exceeding a reasonable amount of noise. At this point in time, the only way that you can enforce what a person considers to be an unreasonable amount of noise is to use Penal Code 240.20, number 2. Penal Code 240.20, number 2, which basically says anyone who creates an unreasonable noise can be fined. So that's it. You cannot use a metering device. The courts won't accept them, period. Gary, go ahead.
Okay, I guess I'm on. One thing, what you just quoted, Rhonda, is right, but it's not right. That is, that law you just quoted is for noise in public places, not on private property. But what I want, as long as we're talking about noise ordinance, I just want to know what happened to it. I mean, Guy doesn't live in Danby. We do. And I got a printout of the noise proposal from August. It's 2 pages long. I've got a printout from the one that's recommended tonight or proposed tonight. It's 8 pages long. And in the 8-pager, it didn't say in the August proposal anything about permits. And it didn't say anything about applications 21 days to file an application for a permit before it goes to the zoning board. And also, now we're charging for a cost to get a permit. People are paying enough in taxes. They don't need another charge for a party. And, and it puts everything together, whether you're going to have something that was over on was on West Danby Road, or somebody's going to have a graduation party, a family reunion. You can't group them into the same group. I mean, you're not going to be able to have them get a permit for a Saturday afternoon and evening party for a graduation or something to that effect, a marriage or something. And also, the cost of the fines that the guys come up with, since August, they have tripled to the new proposal. So who's approving all this stuff? Who's saying it's okay?
The permit thing is in fact an addition. And the reason it's put to the Board of Zoning Appeals is because the permit is only for noise that would clearly be not allowed. You can make special provision for allowing it under certain circumstances, and that's why it goes with these days. Like I'm looking for an exception to the rule. The kind of things that you're talking about, the anniversary celebrations and the weddings and so forth, those things are all allowed anyway. It's the things that would meet the definition of this is an event that would be clearly unreasonable unless something were done about it. Case in point, if you had a music festival that ran till 3 o'clock in the morning, that would be problematic, but you could allow for it using this permit procedure, saying, well, I'm going to make more noise than you think is reasonable, but under what circumstances might it be reasonable? It'd be up to the Board of Zoning Appeals to say, well, if you held it in a big enough place and it was far enough away, and if you toned it down after 11 p.m., those kind of things can be talked about and included in the exception, basically an exception to the rule. So the permit only applies to something that would otherwise not be allowed at all. And that's why Guy put it in. If there wasn't anything that I suggested he'd do, but
like I say, Guy doesn't live in Danby. We have to put up with this after he proposes this stuff. But you're going to have to clarify in there if it's for one of those events. I mean, if it's a commercial event or an all weekend thing, that's one thing. But if it's a one-time, one-day thing, most neighbors aren't going to come. And like was mentioned earlier, people aren't going to go in and get a permit or put an application in 21 days ahead of time and then go before the Board of Zoning Appeals to see if they want to approve it or not. They're not going to do that. I mean, if my daughter graduates, if my granddaughter graduates this year and we have a party in the backyard and have a band, I'm going to invite my neighbors and I'm not going to get a permit.
No, well, you need one. Right. What the law gives you is if your party gets out of hand and it's still loud at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody calls the cops, the sheriff can come in and say, tone it down. And that's probably going to be the end of it. It gives them a mechanism to respond. Right now, they won't respond. without a local law. They've told us that.
And Joel, they're not gonna respond anyway. They're so short-staffed. They've got three people, they've got three deputies on at night. They're
Oh,
not
that's
gonna send
probably-
somebody up in Danby because the music is too loud.
Well, I mean, you may be right, but, Ted,
That's it for me.
yeah, thanks. Ted?
There we go. Okay, thanks. First of all, I'd like to have it right out front. I'm aware that there are problems with noise in Danby. There are incidents, not ongoing things. And we need something. I'm in favor of a noise law that will handle the incidents which are considered a problem. I'm not in favor of a noise law that's going to cause one neighbor to be afraid of another one, or that's unenforceable. But we do need something. This isn't, however, this isn't the one. As has already been noted, the language in this law, it's long, but the works of it are remarkably similar to previous versions. And you've already said, I was going to make a yes, but you've already said that the lawyer got involved. And I must say that you've now used the most expensive wordsmith the town could possibly have had, and that goes back to the tax cap hearing, to achieve pretty much the same effect. And unfortunately, it takes a lawyer to read it. Now, someone already mentioned the word audible. Well, I'll mention it again. Audible, I'm looking here at a definition from the Oxford Language Dictionary. Audible, able to be heard. In other words, if I can hear it, and it's used, I think, 6 times in there, then it is wrong. It is illegal. That's not right. I think that it should be reasonable and allowable for a person to stand at the border of their property and have a normal conversation. That is going to be audible from the next property. On the other hand, it is not reasonable, excuse me, it is not reasonable to, shall we say, be inside your house and be able to hear your neighbor through an open window. Now, once upon a time, Danby had reasonable setbacks in its zoning that was 50 feet or 75 feet, depending. And the laws of physics work out so that you could talk at your property line, and at the setback distance, it would have been library quiet. I think the term is used. Audible is not the right word, absolutely not the right word in there. And he's a great lawyer, but he's not a scientist. In fact, speaking of science, again, the reliance on what's called A weighting. A weighting is inappropriate in this case. A weighting is very simple, it's very popular, but it was originally designed with respect to hearing damage, measuring the sound that would cause damage to your ears. We're not talking about damage, well, we are, of course, talking to damage, but we're really talking about annoyance value. When a noise is not becoming of a good neighbor's attitude. So it's not a question of A weighting. A weighting means that someone running a low frequency object, oh, I don't know what's low frequency, whatever it is, it's basically not going to register on the meter, even though it is clearly audible. That's the way A weighting works. It drops off enormously below about 100 or below 200 hertz. And the same goes with high pitched noises. Our lawyer should really have read up on weighting schemes in Wikipedia. It's all it takes is a few minutes, and they'd see that it's not a reasonable thing to use. So, those are my comments. I didn't read this law in great detail. It's long and it's for a lawyer. I will, but right away I could see things that are problems. So this is not the law, and you've spent a lot of money doing it. Thanks.
Joel, one last thing before you call on Paul. I just wanted to add, I was down to the gathering. I run into Leslie down there, and Leslie, I think I told you this, that if we were to go by the law that was on the book, well, that was proposed in August, you can tell by the way I'm talking that I'm against the noise law. But if the one we proposed in August, I'd be fine with that. But after I seen the one that I printed out today, I'm not fine. But that's all I have to say. Paul, you're next.
Yeah. We're not hearing you, Paul, even though you're not muted.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you, Paul.
Leslie, you have to speak to.
Something's wrong, Paul. We
Yeah,
can't hear you.
His microphone's dead.
Evidently.
He's trying to figure it out.
Paul, you want me to make up something for you?
It's not that we don't want to hear what you have to
I
say,
know.
but we're not hearing.
Yeah, he could.
Put it in the chat
Your
and see if he
microphone's
can
not
read it
working.
for you. If you can type fast enough.
What? Yeah, right.
Well, I think his time is up.
Well, does anybody else have something that they'd like to say?
I really have another meeting to go to. That's why I wanted to
Oh,
speak.
okay.
Yes.
Could I just,
Sure,
oh,
go
okay,
ahead.
good, thanks. So I represent Jennings Pond. It's been ever since we moved to Danby in 1980. I've been involved on and off in some way, volunteering, doing stuff. And we live right across from the pond. We love it there. It's a wonderful resource for the town. There's a lot of fishing, canoeing, kayaking, they were sailing on it with skis during the winter. That's a new thing this year. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Hi.
Oh, do you want me to let them?
Oh.
No, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah.
We'll have.
Okay. All right, well, anyways, we didn't have a lifeguard this year. We couldn't open, but we offered a higher price, but, I know there's a neighborhood, guy, maybe two, that are interested in lifeguarding this year, and we really would like to employ neighborhood kids. More people we're moving into the neighborhood. The pond, I think, will be used more. They use it anyways. If there's no lifeguard, they just go in, even though there's signs all over the place, swimming prohibited. So I think we really need to have the swimming program, and I'm willing to lead it. And we also have an agreement with the parks to govern over the pond 2 months of the year, from the beginning of July to Labor Day. So me and my son and my husband have been watching over it this year anyways, making sure the bathrooms are clean. And these are something that lifeguards do. Keep the bathrooms clean, keep the beach clean. I think the pond really needs to be funded, and it's not a lot of money comparatively to what they spend down at the parks.
Yeah.
It's cheap. So, and we have good water quality mostly. So there is problems sometimes. So. Oh, you're welcome. Any questions?
Could you just say your name?
Mary Ann Kozak. Okay. So I've been around. When you guys didn't fund the pond in 1990, there was Keep Danby Pond Afloat committee, and I was on that too. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mary.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Now
now.
Oh, can I speak now for a minute?
By all means.
Okay, so there's a few things. One is that Guy has always been a complicator of a lot of these issues. And
that's good.
with experience with Guy's answers to some of the questions I raised when I was a code enforcement officer, you have to learn not to allow him to complicate the issues. So that's number one. This law should be as simple as possible. The law should be making it so that the person as a last resort, and that during the hours of 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, can call the sheriff, whether at least they have that opportunity to call them, whether they come out to the person's house or not, just so they have some redress in a situation they're finding to be intolerable. But again, it should be incredibly simple. Guy should not be driving this train. And I think we should move in that direction. I mean, it's, again, oh, one other thing I wanted to say, the purpose of this law is not to convict anyone. So we have to be careful about the way in which we treat our neighbors. This is supposed to be as neighborly as possible, that I trust our citizenry not to overuse the law. It's just, and so it's just giving them an avenue when things are out of hand. And the perfect example I think of is a renter who might be having a party late at night, and they're not taking into account anything about what their neighbors are experiencing. So usually neighbors, like Gary was just talking about, are apprised of the fact that there's going to be a party, and oftentimes invited, but then they've already talked about it. So in any case, keep it simple. No elaborations allowed don't allow any of the elaborations that Guy presents, just because, well, I mean, I haven't read it either, but he just complicates things, because the purpose of this law is not all the extras that Guy sends in there. That's it. Thanks.
I think if you read it, Paul, they didn't put a whole lot of extras in, but
I think we need to be careful nonetheless.
Yeah.
Move on.
Okay. Anybody else want to privilege of the floor? Seeing none, move on. Are there any announcements?
Correspondence.
Or correspondence first? Any correspondence?
Yeah,
Dan?
I did get a correspondence, and then another one came in on Monday. There was a correspondence from the New York State Office of Cannabis Management, notification to municipality. Sorry, I haven't scanned this in yet to share with you, but it's notification of adult use retail dispensary license application for a new establishment in the town of Danby. So we received that.
What? I can't, I don't understand.
What kind?
Say it again?
A retail sale?
Adult use retail dispensary license application. Yeah, so retail sales.
Cool. And we got one, I was on the news that they did, one's happening in Dryden.
I don't know. I didn't receive that notification.
But
So there's an application for what?
For Danby, evidently.
The cannabis, I think
Oh.
the missing word that we were saying, you're saying a cannabis, correct?
Yeah, right.
Correct.
Cannabis is-
Yes, it's
dispensary,
an application for a new establishment for an adult use retail dispensary.
Does it say where?
It says the business, once the license is approved, shall be located at 1429 Danby Road.
It's 1830. That's always difficult.
In the neighborhood of the American Legion.
What if it's Anthony building on the corner of Mother?
Oh, the old Western store, the auction.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep. And then I just wanted to bring up an email that was sent to the clerk's office and to the planner. It's a repeat from a resident from a couple of years ago regarding fiber and broadband internet access on East Miller Road. I do remember these people who were trying to get access as new residents on East Miller, and Spectrum told them they'd have to pay about $40,000 to get the wire extended, or they could get 35 homes to pay $3,000 each. And they did contact neighbors and got a bunch that would like to have access, but are shocked by the price tag, and wanted to share the concern again and hear if there's anything going on with the town on this issue.
Was there a name associated with that cannabis permit?
Say what?
The cannabis permit, yes, there is an applicant name.
It wouldn't be the owner of that building, would it?
That I do not know.
No, it's an application, so it's public. What was that name?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go.
A matter of interest, but it's not, it's out of order.
Okay.
So we'll, look into it.
I do want to respond about the internet access. Dan Klein has twice given information now about the county efforts in that neighborhood, in that area. And because it's a county-wide, you get, things are usually cheaper, economies of scale. And he says they're working on it very quickly. Dan's not here tonight, but he could give a more detailed response.
And where we are in the scheme of things there, but that's not, and we probably can respond to the specific queries. We're waiting, the county has issued an RFP to ISPs about, to see what they're willing to propose for cost of extending service to those who don't have it, all over the county. A lot of those addresses are in Danby. But I'm not sure what the reply by date is, but the RFP has been issued. That's where we are, waiting for county. Anything else, Janice?
Nope, that was it. Thanks.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the announcement that we make regarding open positions. The time is at hand for those who would like to be on a variety of boards and commissions where there are expiring terms or vacancies, and we have both on some of these things. Notably, there's always a seat up on the BZA. There's 3 or 4 seats on the Conservation Advisory Council. There's 7 seats on the Danby Youth Commission.
Because we can have up to 15 people.
Yeah, so those kinds of.
There's 5, so they could have 10.
Yeah.
Right.
George Adams has indicated he does not want to continue being our representative on the Environmental Management Council. There's a seat there. That's a 3-year appointment.
That's a 2-year appointment.
The 2-year?
Yeah.
The historian, there's always a seat on the planning board, and there's always a seat on the West Danby Water District Advisory Committee. So anyone who has an interest in any of these things, the time is now to apply. We will hopefully be able to interview people in December so that the appointments can be made in January and there's not a lapse in the board membership. Dan Klein can't be here. He submitted a report, which I haven't yet read, but he did submit a report.
And it included information about
the
network. Yes, it did.
Yeah. And that was linked to the agenda, right?
Yes, I linked it to the agenda.
Yeah, for anybody who wants to read it, it's there. And then the highway superintendent, Keith, is here.
Hello, everybody. I would like to take the floor for a moment and just inform the town of a great loss that we've had over at the highway recently. In the past, in August, we lost one of our drivers, Brian Berry. Just wanted to bring up everybody on it and let them know. And I want to read a little something too in Brian's behalf from the town. Brian Berry began working in the town of Danby Highway Department in May of 2015. Brian was a truck driver and a heavy equipment operator for the town of Danby Highway for over 8 years. Sadly, Brian lost his battle to cancer on August 18th of this year. Brian was a very independent person, passionate about his work. He cared about his fellow crew members. if I can say one thing about Brian, is that he enjoyed working with the crew at the Danby Highway Department. I speak for all of the town when I say he will be well missed and that our prayers go out to his family. Thank you. Yep. That's all for now. See you in a while.
Okay, Greg.
Hello, I'll give a planner report here. Starting with, there was a planning board meeting last night, and there were two development review applications. One was for the Norwood Solar Farm, happening right over here on Bald Hill, and there was an amendment, slight amendment to their site plan, and that was approved by the planning board. The Danby Market proposal, which is over across the street at 1843 Danby Road, went through a sketch plan review last night with the planning board, setting them up for site plan review later this year. That project will likely need a couple of variances in order to be able to operate a market in the former garage on that property. There have been some calls about there was a sketch plan review before my time here for another solar farm at 2288 Danby Road. And so there were some people asking about where that is. I received a letter from a neighbor expressing concerns, but just so to let everyone know that there haven't been any updates or any submittals or anything from the developer of that project. There was a site walk last week that I joined for the Conservation Advisory Committee for potential easement down in West Danby. I'm working with the code enforcement officer to issue building permits, mostly ag related recently. I've been joining there's a lot of meetings I've just been attending with a lot of Tompkins County, other planners and other advisory councils in the area. I was on one today for the conservation working group, and letting planning board members and Board of Zoning Appeals members know that there will be a training on November 13th. I thought I would have had more details by now, but I don't, but just wanted to let everyone know about that. And just in general, meeting with property owners, town board members, and even realtors to answer questions about planning and zoning inquiries in town about what people can and can't do with their property. Moving on to just larger projects in the town. There is an open park grant from Tompkins County. It's a minor grant, $5,000 to the Dotson Park Association to add in a boardwalk over there for some wet areas. This grant expires at the end of the year, and so that money is only available for another couple of months. So what it is that the Tompkins County grant will reimburse the town for expenses it makes to the Park Association for purchase of boardwalk materials. So either the Park Association needs to buy the materials and submit an invoice to the town, or if they do not have the funds, the town can provide the funds and then to the association, and then once those materials are purchased by the Park Association, the town will be reimbursed the funds. It's a little bit of a couple steps there, but ultimately the grant is to the town, not the Park Association. And so some way or another, everyone will be made whole again, but it's a matter of who can go out and purchase the boardwalk materials. So I sent an email to some of the Park Association folks earlier this week and just wanted to make sure that we don't lose that money for this important project over in the park. Coming up, there was the drainage district number 1, which is over on Beardsley Lane for that development. That looked like there was a long history with that, but before my time, pretty much the next stage on is maintenance of the town properties over there on some of the infrastructure. So I'll be preparing a request for proposal to get a contractor on board to perform that maintenance. So I'll be working on that coming up. There's a few things that I do need. I'm not sure how I'm involved with these issues, but I'm waiting for direction from the town board. A couple of them are the sewer study here in the hamlet. the short-term rentals issue, and then I will be involved in this, but again, waiting for direction from town board, is the comprehensive plan update. And so I'm anticipating that we might begin that work in 2024. And then I have spoken to a few of you and some members of the public about potential zoning amendments, and I just have a list of things that are either needed just legally, or there are suggested amendments, and so I'd be happy to talk about some of them. Some of them were brought up at planning board last night, but again, waiting for town board direction on kind of how we might want to look at those.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I'm sensitive to the need to get them to provide some direction on some of these planning issues, but I think it might have to look at the budget dealt with.
Yes.
Past the election.
Yeah, we can do over the next month.
Yep. Minutes. We have a bunch of minutes. I reviewed, well, I think I reviewed all of them actually. My 2 cents has already been put into the mix. What, 15.
You gave your feedback on the September 20th minutes, and I assume that those are gonna be there, right? I mean,
I believe that, I think that Janice accepted my suggested changes.
okay. I'll move that we approve the September.
I did
20th.
have one question on that though.
Yeah, well, I was gonna move it and then we could
Okay.
chat.
Amended if necessary.
Are you seconding it?
Which one?
September 20th.
Oh, wait,
I can second it if that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll second
There's still something.
Are the wordings, it looked like the wordings of these two were the same. They've changed now?
Yeah, that got fixed.
That's fixed, okay,
Yeah.
good, because it was wrong.
It was, I spoke to Janice about it and she,
It's now changed in the new version online?
I believe so.
Okay.
Is that correct, Janice? That the minutes that are now, if you look at them, it has that change incorporated?
Yes, it does.
I mean, the only comment I have, and I know I've talked about it before, is that, say, like with it says County Legislature Representative Dan Klein, it doesn't say he gave his report. I know it's underlined, so I'm assuming there's a link to that, but it's still, it's not part of the record. It doesn't say he gave a report or not.
Yeah.
So that's my only comment.
So, yeah, I mean, you could have suggested that I think Janice probably would have accepted the addition of, reported, on paper or, by email or whatever, rather than in person. That point. Submitted a written report, there you go. Can you add that, Janice?
Sure.
County Representative Dan Klein submitted a written report. And indicate that he wasn't there in person, but that there was a
Right.
written report, and if anybody wants it, they can check the link,
But I mean,
okay?
I also believe that a link is not really, it's not in the minutes, so it's not part of the permanent record. But that's just, my opinion.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
Okay, so we need Catherine back, we can vote.
Was that already for the vote?
Well, not
Oh.
quite.
Oh,
We
I
only
just saw
got three
Catherine walk
votes.
by. Okay, I thought I heard you say Catherine.
We're not gonna launch the quorum here until Catherine comes back.
No, we have a quorum. Three of us.
Or
All right.
sugar,
Yeah,
mint.
okay,
Now we're ready?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, Connors.
Yes.
Do I call Hanson's name? I know he's here, but he's technically not allowed to vote.
Am I?
I don't think he's allowed to vote because he
I
didn't
don't think he's allowed to vote either.
notice of this,
Right.
being remote.
Right.
So
Ah,
maybe I'll mark you as abstain.
Well, no,
Does that seem-
absent, I mean, he's present, but he can't vote.
So how about
How do we
online abstention?
put that in the record?
Online abstention. Okay, I'll put that for now and we can fix it later. Okay, sorry, Paul.
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yeah. And that's the problem with the rules as they currently exist, is that you have to give advance notice so that you can vote.
which
But
is
if
not
you-
convenient if you get
But if you get
COVID
sick,
at
you're
the
not
last
gonna give
minute.
advance notice, right? Or if you can't make it over the hill because of a snowstorm or something, but that's the
Right.
way the rule is.
I think we need to review that sometime, somehow.
Well, it's not us.
It's
the
not
state.
us. Yeah. The state
Need
said
to
that.
have them review it.
Other ones?
There's the October 3rd.
Yep.
I'll move that
Second.
with one, okay, you're second it. As far as I know, looking at the EMC, is a 2-year, not a 3-year term.
Yeah, it's listed in there.
I think that was.
Which one are you saying, Leslie?
Leslie
The
thinks
EMC is,
2 years.
at least according to their website, it's a 2-year. And George thought it was a 2-year appointment, not 3-year.
Okay, in the spreadsheet that was created before me, that position is listed under miscellaneous and it was noted. Hang on, I'm looking for it. Where the heck did it go? There it is.
It says 3 years, it's wrong.
Yeah, it says Environmental Management Council, 3-year appointment by town board starting 2020. So do you
That's
want me to
wrong.
change it to 2 years?
Probably should be changed there to reflect that it's actually 2 years.
Okay, so I'll change it there to 2 years, and then I'll change it in the minutes.
Okay. Yep.
Nope.
Go ahead with the vote.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't go back and look at any of those. I need to
Right.
check.
I looked through the rest, but I did not look through September 5th.
Okay.
Are
there others on the list here? There's the
Nope.
link to advance.
I mean, if people are interested in getting them off the sheet, we could just have them marked as reviewed and not approved.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Okay,
You want to make a motion to that effect?
sure.
For all the rest, or?
I thought May 2nd we did already. No?
Don't know.
No?
Do you know, Janice, did we already do May 2nd?
Let me double check. May 2nd. I still have it listed as a draft.
We can check other minutes to be sure.
Okay, well, I move that the rest are just marked reviewed and not approved.
Okay, so, that's a motion.
The December 6th, we would leave out, those are not available, so December 21st through, on this list, through August 1st. I didn't look at the September 5th, I'm sorry.
Okay. So then we'll just hold off on that one.
Yeah.
So you move that we, acknowledge receipt of the minutes from 21st December through August 1st, that reviews but not approved.
Right.
But I think we need to account for the fact that the August 24th regular meeting continued has no minutes, so we can't say.
Which
read
one?
and approved.
December 6th.
The one that's left, April 24th continued meeting, there are no
Oh,
minutes, so we can't
You're right,
say.
you're right. So the December 6th one and the April 24th would not be included in that list.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
What about those two? Maybe that's a different motion, but,
Yeah, well, we can't approve them, they don't exist.
Right.
There are no minutes for us to see.
why is it on the list?
They've never been written.
Because there's meetings there that.
There were meetings, but there were no minutes.
Right.
There's no minutes produced, nothing.
They're on the list so that they don't get forgotten.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
I have them in draft form, but not ready to release from draft form.
Okay. So the motion is to acknowledge receipt, but not approval. Minutes for the 21st of December through the 1st of August, excluding April 24th.
Right.
Any further discussion?
We didn't have a second. Was that a second or I can second
I
it?
think it was a second, wasn't
I'll second that if it wasn't.
it? We had a motion,
Oh.
wasn't it moved and
Didn't I?
seconded?
Yeah, I thought Leslie moved it and I thought Catherine seconded.
I just did now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, ready to vote?
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
She's standing right there now.
Lawrence. We could but two this time, evidently.
All right.
Yeah, I found her, she had some. Yeah, some.
Let's see. So we can move and then talk if we need to, right?
Okay,
I'll move the, general fund vouchers, 321 through 339 for $11,108.39.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt? Did you not want to do the three additions for Pat?
yes, you're not paying me for 2 months worth of the newsletter. I'd like to get paid. She made
Yeah.
changes later this afternoon.
Well, I'm not, I don't have those changes from this afternoon.
okay, so what's on the agenda here is,
Ah,
321 to 341,
Right.
with 13,882.69.
Okay, well, wait a minute. What is it? 321 through,
339, 341.
341. No, 321 through 341 for $13,882.69.
Yeah, there are a couple of late additions.
wow.
I wasn't reimbursed last month and she left it off this month as well. I finally noticed and then I want to get paid.
It's nothing personal.
I know, it should have been done sooner because I gave the information in the end of
Yeah,
August, at the end of last
No.
month.
Yes, and I'll restate my apology for you, Pat. I look for for things that I might miss in emails by searching for invoice, and that your email doesn't come up with that because you say receipts. So I deeply apologize. I'm very sorry. It was not intentional.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so that was general.
Oh, we haven't voted on it yet.
Well, no, because I have a couple comments.
Yeah, do we?
There's also no second.
I moved it. Didn't
Okay.
somebody second it?
Not yet.
Oh,
One second.
Second.
Okay. One second. Now go ahead, comment.
I don't know, the mileage sheet, it would just, seem easier to me, and maybe it doesn't make sense to you, Janice, but that, like, Steve Courtwright just makes that a mileage sheet, and he uses that to record his mileage and get reimbursed. That just seems simpler to me than scanning all the bank receipts for each trip. But I guess it's up to you. It took me a little while to figure out what it was. I had a question on the same thing, was a bill for PDF expert premium. I mean, I didn't understand why they were lumped together or whatever, what that PDF is for.
So all of those are reimbursements made to me. The mileage is mileage for when I go downtown to make cash deposits to the bank, whether it's for clerk or tax. You know, I don't really know.
What those are. What I didn't know what it was, I didn't know what the PDF expert.
Yeah, I'm responding to your comment because you made a comment about my mileage sheet. You didn't like my mileage sheet the first time I submitted it. So I have electronic copies of each bank deposit that I make. So I simply attached that as evidence of deposit. And then I figured, why stop there? I might as well put the actual deposit slip. So I scanned those in and added them to the deposit, so that you would see that I was being truthful about actually going to the bank that day. The PDF Expert is a software that I use for PDFs. It's the same as, the Adobe Acrobat subscription that the planner purchases. He has a monthly charge of $20. This is a PDF application for me that I use, and it's an annual subscription.
Okay. The other thing on that was, where's that library bookcase? I want to see it. Is it here?
I was wondering which one it was too.
Is it in the building?
Yes, it is, yes.
Huh?
No,
Yes.
the library bookcase hasn't arrived yet. That's the invoice that was sent to us. It's being shipped. And yeah, because you're talking about the freight charge.
Yeah.
So because it's so heavy that it requires a lift, and so they add that charge in.
I think I would like for us to be, I don't know, maybe we talk to the library about it.
Mhm.
But using the lift machine, I mean, we have the same issue down at the Friends of the Library. So we have a deal with the plumbing guy next door. He brings his lift over, and we give him $50. But this was like almost close to $300 to have something taken off a truck.
Yeah,
It was 200 something. I just thought that was a lot.
I can tell you that
could almost bought another bookcase for that. So I think we should just watch out for that.
I can tell you that they did look into other options when they saw the price for that, and with at least one other company, it was the same thing, and it was even more expensive. So this was the cheapest option available to them.
Their local options we could maybe check out next time.
That you'll have to express to them.
And there was also, did we decide to go with Zoho? I didn't know that we had decided to go with Zoho.
I talked to Drew a little before on my way here. On my way home before coming. And he is going to help us with that, with the contract, because he believes that there is a way for it not to be the full year charge.
Oh, Okay.
And there is an overlap in that, we did discuss a lot of this in the past in small meetings, and the idea of getting Zoho's been planned for a while. So the trouble is we have to transfer from Zoho to 365.
There's gotta be overlap.
There is some overlap,
Okay.
but
The problem is that when we went out the end of the, well, it came to the end of the contract at the end of August. And although we were supposed to have done the onboarding before then, the reality is it hasn't happened yet, and we need time to do it. But,
and it's an annual automatic. A lot of the companies are, that's what you're told.
well, that was the question about this one was it, well, I mean, it's the fact that it was paid for, by credit card implies that it wasn't automatic. Or did they just charge the credit card automatically? 'Cause we didn't
No,
get the terms,
yes.
did we?
Software companies keep your credit card on file and then they charge it unless you cancel before the renewal date.
i.e. it's automatic.
It is automatic. Again, I did not actively seek out and resubscribe to Zoho.
Right, that's part of the reason we didn't see any bill ahead of time, because it was on that, but we.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's problematic for us to be in an automatic renewal on a contract.
Yeah, for that much money, that's a problem. Anyway,
You know,
okay,
because,
those
you know,
are mine.
contracts should be approved by the board.
Right.
That's a future issue.
Yeah,
So I mean, probably we would have gone this way anyway, although if we reviewed we would have reviewed the contract and see what kind of provision there is for early termination.
Right.
Okay.
I did just have a conversation with Janice about that, and they don't have that option, but Drew believes he can talk to them, and let's see what we can do.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I did have one question. The library kids table for $131.75 included sales tax. And there was another item on here that, the invoice included sales tax, but the statement that we're
Right,
billing,
it didn't.
paying did not
I
include
think
it,
that was,
took it off.
yeah.
Right, but this one still included the sales tax on it.
It's been a recurring theme with the library, hasn't it?
No, they did better. They did better last time.
Yeah, no, I think the issue with the kids table, so Lynn has been working with me to get some of these things ordered, and I checked with I think it was a clearance from Bed Bath & Beyond, and I asked how we do the tax exemption, and they said we have to order it and then the exemption will be applied after the fact. That's all I can tell you about that.
It shouldn't appear in the warrant.
Right.
I mean, it's on the credit card statement, so we can take that off if you'd like, but then you don't pay it in the credit card and then you get late fees.
We could pay it and try to get it back.
Yes,
Not
that's
talking
what would happen.
We're not talking a lot of money, though.
No.
Anything else? Ready to vote? Yes,
That was-
okay.
Connors.
I'm gonna abstain just because I didn't see those the things that were put on this afternoon.
Hunter.
Yes.
Did Woodworth comment?
I didn't hear you say Woodworth.
Oh,
Yes.
She did say yes. Okay.
Just did,
Okay, Gagnon.
yes.
All right.
Okay,
I'll move the highway fund vouchers 206 to 213 for $233,585.52.
Second.
I'm dinger, isn't it? A lot of paving.
That was a big party.
Laura said last meeting it was gonna be big.
Yeah. Well, there was nothing in the last one.
You were serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is big. Comments on that one, are we good?
No.
Okay. The vote,
Ready?
Janet. Yep.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
Yes. I'm looking at the rest of the agenda. I'm wondering whether we want to do it in this order.
Probably better to move the budget review and do the other things.
Well, except that Keith's here for highway. That would be reason not to, that would be reason to do it this quick.
Maybe we could do the tax cap override first.
Yeah, that should be quick. And grant applications, I think we can do first too.
I'd kind of like to defer those because we didn't get any information other than just the forms to wave them through.
that's what our job is. The checking is done by the other company to make sure they qualify.
Yeah, that part is not, that's not what I'm missing. What I'm missing is what they're proposed to do. Which on all the other ones, we had a chance to at least review.
Oh, they had details.
The scope of work.
I did, I sent that email, Joel, and I see that actually Phil sent a quick reply. Do you want me to read it?
No, I mean,
Well, but yeah.
what?
I'm sure that the quick reply doesn't say, here you go. What did he say?
No, he said he would send them in the morning. The scopes are pretty basic without anything different from other projects. The one needs windows and siding work plus a septic, which will go through the county. And then the other one is a log home needing general updates and standard improvements. He also suggested perhaps approve contingent on Greg's review.
What review?
Greg's, the planner.
Oh, yeah. What would he be reviewing for?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. I'm told that it's not typical for boards to look at the scope of work, but it was looking at the scope of work.
We did in the previous.
We did in all the previous ones, and I thought it was useful because it did allow me to catch that one instance where we were proving a replacement of a furnace with another furnace instead of with a heat pump.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Do you know whether that got changed or was that just because?
I think it did.
It's still in the works, but
Oh.
but it looks like we will be doing it.
There's no furnace on here.
I think the word for Phil was if you're willing, if
There's
you're
no
willing to
furnace
do
on
it, we'll
here.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but it's not relevant in these two cases evidently,
Right.
based on the scope that's just been described.
I move that we decide to allow these applicants to participate.
Second.
Further discussion? Okay, then the vote.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Oh, never mind. I already had it. Okay, so Connors moved it and Woodworth seconded. And then, I've got Connors,
Yes,
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
Yeah. You want the tax captain?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I move we vote to override the tax cap.
Second. Awesome.
Right, with the local law.
and the main reason to do this isn't because we have any intention of doing it,
Correct.
but in case between now and January 1st, if some catastrophic weather event happens or something, we may need to go over the tax cap.
Right.
That's the only that's the reason to do it. If you have no intention of going over, anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure, I have no intention of going over it, but it, as we, unless we add a bunch to the budget, we can stay under it.
Yeah. Okay,
Ready? Okay, the vote.
Connors,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes. Okay, back to the budget and then noise? Like noise.
The noise law, since it had so many changes in it, and not everything, we had said some things at the last meeting that were not accounted for, so I would want to look at it again before doing anything.
We did get it, I mean, you haven't had it in our hands very long.
No, I mean, I'd like to spend more time looking at it, right off the bat. There were a number of things, the DBH thing, DBH.
Yeah, but
That's not what.
That's
about trees.
Yes.
I'm sorry. And
the decibel thing.
yeah. We've heard all along that that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much left it out except for one thing,
Yeah.
which I kind of wondered why he put it in, but.
Right.
I mean, I had a problem with 3B. It talks about no using snow blowers and things between the hours of 7 a.m. and sunset. Everybody in my neighborhood snow blows in the middle of the night sometimes. So
Right.
I mean, I think that's a problem. The F talks about lawful hunting or harvesting of lawful game animals. There's DEC regs that say people can shoot at night for predators. So, I mean, that we need to look at that.
Yeah, didn't the language basically say that DEC compliant was okay?
No, no. Well, it just says harvest of lawful game animals under New York state law.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that. D talks about unreasonable, under unreasonable noise. Whether the making of the noise is reasonably necessary for protection or preservation of property or the health, safety, and welfare of a person or persons. The notion that livelihood might be an issue there is not in there. And actually prohibited acts, I wrote in here practicing drums is just because I live with somebody who is a drummer.
Drummer, yeah.
So, I mean, practicing a musical instrument of any kind is a problem. A 21-day application, I mean, there's just too much in here.
A lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things
That,
to do
the
tonight.
fines are, anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the question for us right now is, what do we want to do?
Well-
with it at this point? Do we want to put it out there for people to comment on?
No,
We
I don't,
wanna
no, I don't
comment
want
on it
to, I
ourselves.
don't want
Want
to
to comment on ourselves first.
I mean, there's too much, I feel that's not acceptable.
It needs to change.
That I don't want to hear comments about things that are not acceptable
Yeah.
to begin with.
In other words, we want to modify it before we put it out
Something,
for
yeah.
consideration.
Yeah, or have, I don't know how we'll do that, but I don't want to hear.
We can have a focused discussion and we can
Yeah.
run it by Guy.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I don't want to have comments on this.
Well, we
So-
got a lot of helpful
Yeah, we got comments already.
now.
Yeah, we did get some feedback already.
Yeah,
Of course, we get more if we put it out there, but it might be good to get it so that we're, at least have our concerns addressed before we put it out there
Yeah.
for more, because you can catch some of the major flack.
yeah, yeah,
I suspect we will have written comments come in and
yeah,
they can be added to it as well.
Yeah,
but-
because it is out there. I mean, we just,
It all, it's the same thing. It immediately, something like this that has so many questions in it, immediately makes a huge response come from an audience that hasn't even heard that we're not even crazy about this. I mean, all of a sudden it looks like, oh, here they go again, we're gonna have another law.
right.
And that's just not, I mean, this was shocking to us. And, I agree the issue about asking Guy is questionable, but that is what happened.
Yeah.
And that does happen from time to time.
well, it wasn't questionable. I mean,
Well,
you recall Guy's initial
I should have
response.
not
but-
used that word.
Yeah,
but-
well, I mean, we asked him to produce as simple a law as possible, but this is God.
Yeah.
That's basically what I recommend that you do this. We can, I mean, I already spoke to him about section 7, which is the landlord responsibility
Right,
section. He said you could take that out and it wouldn't make a whole lot of difference.
right.
But you know, if we have questions, we should probably run it by him. You know, there is a need before we put something out for public comment and have a public hearing and adopt something, that what we adopt be legally sound.
Yeah,
Right. So I mean, it's not like I'm going to avoid using a lawyer.
right, right.
That
Yeah.
what I gave him was, here's the simplest thing we could come up with, and we want to keep it simple. You know, produce a legally sustainable draft, and that's what he did. It doesn't look. It goes from 3 pages to 8, but you know that's.
I think it's 6 pages. But unless I'm
Whatever.
missing
Anyway,
something, but anyway,
it's longer.
I might be missing.
I mean, I never would have thought of having the permit process in that law, but that's what he added. But and he did it in a way that says, well, he did it in a way that provides relief for people who might want to make who have unreasonable noise as defined in the law, and have some provision for it where they could go and get it's essentially appeal to the Board of Appeals to say, I'd like a permit for doing this.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that people would normally do are specifically, you know, exempted from regulation.
I kind of like to have us review the Trumansburg Ulysses permit also.
Yeah, that's an alternative thing for noise for special events.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the DB point of zoning yet.
Yeah.
Because of that time frame, that 21 days, and they don't even meet every month.
Well, they meet on demand.
Yeah. Well, they meet on a specific day.
Usually,
so
once
if
a month
somebody
on a
comes with
specific
the
day.
thing, the day after, it's too late.
I can see that.
Yeah, so, I mean, but on the other hand, I can see that if it's a zoning issue, then there is that. So thinking about that, there may be something more to think about that. I just was a bit shocking.
So, we're saying, what I'm hearing is that we'll want to review it carefully. And then at the next meeting, we'll bring our concerns and do we want to run them by a guy before then?
No.
No. Okay, we'll talk about it
We don't
first.
have anything to run by for.
Well, we could compile a
No,
list.
we don't.
We compile a list, but we don't want.
And we'll have to run it by him eventually, but.
Well, yeah, but we could talk about it first and say,
Yeah.
you know, trying to pare it down to what we think is,
Right.
you know, what about this, and this?
Well, we can also let him know what our concerns are.
Yeah. Okay, so set it aside at this moment, but it'll be on the agenda for next time.
Highway budget.
Yes, now the budget.
All right, now we're getting down to the good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so did you guys get a copy of the?
Yeah.
Could they put that up on the screen or?
I don't know, did you submit it electronically?
Oh, you didn't? That's okay, that's okay.
No, we can't.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, let's start out with, the CHIPS money, where we're at now. We've got 150,000 that's gonna roll over into next year. Which is good. That's where that's where we wanted to be. And we'll probably have about, doing quick math, we got about 400,000 that's gonna come in next year, 407 or greater, so that'll put us around 557,000 for our CHIPS money next year. Hopefully it's a little better than that, depending on what the state gives us.
What was it this year?
This year was 407, so if you take those two numbers and put them together, that's where we're getting up for the 557,000.
But that's sort of budget neutral. In effect.
Yep.
We spend it, but they give us the money to spend.
Yeah. A couple things. The increase for the budget is the increase in salaries, the increase in health insurance. The health insurance was reduced a little bit due to the fact that we've had two employees that took two different plans. One of them took a family plan, one of them took a single plan, vice versa. Anyways, Laura could probably explain that better later if need be, but it actually reduced a little bit on the health insurance, which was a good savings.
Well, it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. But these figures here are the reduced amounts. And as what we're turning in, the contractual lines are doing great. We have plenty of materials and stuff at the shop. We planned ahead. We want to make sure we're covered for the town. And we've done that, and we're in good position. We're ready for winter, and
pretty impressive big piles of it.
Yeah, yeah. Got to get a little bigger, but we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Trying to think. Let's see here. Tax levy on the highway has gone up 19,512. Mostly increases that was the salaries and the health insurance. So what we're looking for is an amount of 15,000, and this represents a 1.45% increase in the levy for the highway. This feels even better after, yeah. This is, I'm reading what I wrote. All right, so this is, this represents 1.45% increase.
That's the key from the fund balance.
Yes.
No, 23 for the fund balance.
Or, yeah.
That was
Last year.
There was
Oh,
one there.
Gotta read the right column.
There's 15 this year. Got it. Right.
Gotcha.
Laura and I talked about all this, and we forget.
And then I was
I
gonna,
saw the culvert replacement on Station Road, and I said, oh no, another one.
yeah,
That was up the hill more, right?
Where's the culvert?
on Station Road.
Yeah.
Station Road,
That's the one-
the culvert on Station Road, so there's one down at the bottom of,
At the dip there.
it's called Cold's Foot Road. It's a very small little dead end road down there. There's one culvert down there that's actually, I crawled inside of it. It's an old homemade concrete. It's served its purpose well. Let's say that, but it's nothing in great danger right away or anything. It's okay for now, but it needs to be addressed here in the next year or so, next year or two. So,
There's a culvert on Macaronian Road?
small one on Macaronian Road. That may even be done this year. That's a possibility, depending on wet weather pending. These things that I want to keep in mind for everybody listening to this, these are tentative ideas for next year. These things change day to day, especially when you're talking about roads like Jersey Hill Road. That's a huge paving job. Things can be subject to change. There was a lot of digging there. There needs to be a lot of settling and stuff around the pipes. Drainage still has to be put in. We don't want to just throw money down. I want it to last, and that's what we're trying to do at the highway. So these things can change day to day. So I want to stress that before we go too far. And then I think, next year, a great thing would be to do with a lot of the, some of the paved roads that some of them need attention, is chip sealing them and doing more preventative maintenance. And that should be, that's a good start for next year, and then we'll see what else comes up along the way.
Yeah.
So,
Finger goes.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Questions, Keith?
Well, thank you. All set?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And the other thing that the board said it wanted to hear about was solar. We already heard Mary Ann. We want to adjust the budget in any way in response to the pond.
Did you just mix two things together that I didn't?
Well, I mean, there's three things that we said we wanted to deal with. The pond is one of them.
Yeah,
And Mary Ann already spoke to the issue, but we haven't talked about whether we want to adjust in any way. We've heard some people suggest that the pond program is a waste of money. Who would want to swim in that water anyway? And then we've heard other people, and we had Mary Ann say people will swim there whether or not you have a program. And it'd be, and the one time when we did not do it, we had a lot of support for reinstating it. And what's changed is that unlike this year when we were unsuccessful despite a pretty concerted effort to try to get lifeguards, there was a shortage all over the country, and especially in New York State. We thought we had somebody, so we went all the trouble getting all the permits and getting the place all ready, and then we couldn't do it. But next year we've got at least one, maybe two people lined up.
local people too.
Yes.
Paying
Yeah.
people and yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's youth employment. Besides being local.
I propose that we keep it as is. I would not change it.
I don't know whether the amount that's in there is what they were expecting. I didn't hear her say we needed a different amount.
She made no comment about more or less money.
Right.
Right, so, but keeping the program, which is, I definitely think we should keep the program. The youth have very few places to be, and that is one of the places they can go as well. That's been a major problem for youth in rural communities, especially in Danby, because we have no school. We have no space at all for youth.
I mean, there is Danby Community Park that complements it.
Well, the things we have are outside, but yes, and they have gone from the park to, or done events in one and or the other, and it's kind of, they're different. So,
Yeah, they are different. Again, complementary.
yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we could get innovative and maybe the Gary Evans to be, come up with some solutions about the food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that,
I was wondering about that with the park part she mentioned, the state.
Well, I mean, they'll probably be receptive to us doing something if we can figure out what to do.
Well, with that risk of saying something terrible, some people use noise things to scare away the geese.
yeah.
But it doesn't really work very well. I mean, I lived on a golf course in Virginia, and it's pretty hard. Where there's water, there are geese.
One of the things you can do is planting, not mowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some suggestion of not mowing certain sections of it, right?
The same issue is in Stewart Park,
Yeah,
Yeah,
where the mulberry trees are very well fertilized.
yeah.
Which reminds me that, when she left, Marty raised the question of whether or not we could put a little extra money in for the miscellaneous expenses of the
Right.
youth commission.
yeah, we've contributed individually to help. And we don't have anybody to contribute for the Halloween candy, so we ask people who have tables to bring it. I mean, there's things like that. If next year there's an actual Halloween event, that will be more in conjunction with the fire department. They may do more, but yeah. If we could,
We could, I mean, we've got a little bit of wiggle room and still be under the tax cap.
Put it on the list.
Proposed,
Possibility,
possible,
right.
possible, yeah.
Okay. Let's hold the whole solar thing. I'm not sure why it's a budget discussion. Oh, well, it's a budget discussion because we talked about saving up to acquire the system at some point, and we started doing it. So there's how much money set aside so far? Yeah.
With the $15,000 that we're gonna add to it for 2023, which is what we set aside in 2023. We're about, I'm pretty sure, I'm sorry, I don't have an exact number, about 40,000 right now that we have set aside, that we budgeted for. Once again, it's not in an actual reserve,
No.
because that lets things, but it's some money that was set aside that was kind of earmarked for it. And then I keep remembering back also when we decided to get into the solar contract, it was something that was considered to take a large amount of fund balance that we have now and set it aside for it. So I think we're doing pretty good. 2015 is when that contract's they're gonna want an answer from us to see if we want to do the 10-year buyout. 10-year buyout will be $76,000.
2025.
For 2020, yeah, I'm sorry, I keep saying that 2050. I keep, for some reason, that's in my head for something I've been working on. So in 2025, that's gonna come up, 76,000. Then we have the option to wait for 15 years. If we wait for 15, for another 5 years, do you have that number, Pat? 76, I think it went down from there to 54,000. And then if we wait another 5 years after that and do a 20-year buyout, then it is, I believe, 48,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. But the things that we were talking about, and I know Paul came over and we were talking about this, and he's got some knowledge about, some of these systems and with the solar. Was also talking to Joe Friedman. He's been involved in some big installations and things out west and doing some of the other things. And he had suggested also, and I mean, that's one of the things maybe we should think about, is that we have a lot of questions. We've got questions about this $76,000. 10 years is an amount of time. We were thinking, as Pat and I were talking about it, and Paul, that maybe we need a third party. Maybe we need an engineer to come in and at least assess the asset, give us assessed, even I don't know all the jargon for all the different things that run a solar array, okay? But I know there's inverters and all different kinds of things.
Yeah.
What could we be getting into if something went wrong? Because once we buy this, we have to take over all the maintenance of the system. Right now, that maintenance is being taken care of by others. But like you say, go around, inspect the assets, see what, and another thing that Joe had suggested too is there's such changes in technology. There's a lot of changes in technology. There's things that engineers know of technology that's coming up down the pike. And are we prepared for it with this 10-year-old array? And just a general assessment, is it worth and is it a good idea to spend the $76,000 for this buyout? Just to get another eye on the situation and to assess it. And there are engineers, and it would probably be money well spent to be able to do that. That's what we were talking about. We kind of formed that opinion, and that's what we're bringing to you about the thoughts of it. As far as the budget goes, we don't have anything in this budget right now to set aside into this project for this year. In 2023, we did 15,000. One of the things we were thinking about to propose to you as an idea, we're anticipating adding to the fund balance this year. in 2023. Things have been going well. We can do, and I still have not forgotten about your report, Leslie. That's that report that you wanted me to do that kind of gives a look back over the last 9 or 10 years about how, where we went with fund balance and how it's been affected, throughout the years and where we're at. But to possibly take a look at it at the beginning of the year, once the books are all put together and we see exactly where we're at, and then maybe make a decision to take some of that money from fund balance and put a little bit of it in there in preparation for 2025. So
the other thing that it was, and the reason that I brought it up was, we have the possibility of also using ARPA money.
yes, and that's the other thing we're looking at as well. And I got to make some contacts to see if we can use that ARPA money for this situation. So there's not anything in there like, hey, let's say that we looked and we're not able to use ARPA money. I think we are. I believe we are.
Yeah.
I think we are too. But say we didn't. Say we couldn't. Waiting till the beginning of the year, seeing where we are with fund balances and balances, putting a little bit into it then, and then spending a little bit to get an engineer to come out and look at it and give us another assessment and some, advisement on what to do in 2025 might be worth a look to. So that's what we talked about, and that's the information we want to give to you guys so you guys can make decisions, on how you want to handle it and what you want to do.
One other thing to note is that every month in the general fund, there is a category for Sunvestment.
Yeah.
That's what we are paying every month. When we buy it, we don't pay that every month.
That's right.
And it's $1,700 a month.
Yeah. Once it's ours, we're saving what we're paying monthly now.
Granted, some of that money, Sunvestment money, we do get back from the highway, they're not highway, but the fire district, the 2 fire stations, the fire district, and the water. Okay, so we do get some of that back.
Yeah, it's not that we're not sharing the cost.
Right.
But the cost.
But it is the total cost.
We need to do further evaluations of the money that we're putting out. What
it covers.
What it covers, but also how quickly we're going to be able to benefit from that. And benefit from that with the credits and those types of things that we're looking at. So when we talked about it, the reason that this is where we're at is that perhaps it would be better to think about putting money away from an original plan years ago of an amount out of the fund balance while we're still trying to decide whether or not we're truly going to purchase this. Because then that's not like going to the public for more. When we're really trying to.
It is if you are depleting your fund balance to do it.
Well,
We're not
depleting now. We're not depleting.
Well,
the fund balance is still very high, and she's talking about adding to the fund balance from what's in this budget.
When we put this budget together, we included a projection to the end of the year of what the fund balance was going to be, and we appropriated the difference, and to the point where it would we would be neutral with respect to the fund balance. We wouldn't be depleting it, but we wouldn't be adding to it either. I don't see where the money to add to is going to come from without decreasing the amount.
We're also considering the 65 we added to the fund balance at the end of 2022.
Yeah,
that 65,000, we have that 65,000, and we have more coming up for 2023 in addition to.
And again, all of it would wait until we have an external evaluation of the site itself.
Yes.
Yeah, we should
engineering.
We should also look at what it would cost if we owned it to contract for maintenance.
And we've got the idea, and then when we've got the idea of the ARPA, which like they were saying, they just opened up some other categories further too. So ARPA, we're going to use some of our ARPA money. That's going to really come in and help the situation. Probably make up the rest of it, or at least a portion of, because I know you have other plans for ARPA money as well in the town. But
well, we don't have a whole lot of plans as of yet for the ARPA money.
The other thing too, right? You don't have it as of yet, but kind of have some ideas in the works.
There's some ideas in the works, but we need to prioritize it and make some commitments, because we've got to do it in 24.
The other thing too is there is some money sitting in a community development fund. I mentioned this to you, Joel.
Yeah.
It was from the community development. This is from years back, going years back. Community development funds that you guys had were maybe amounts that came in to pay for parades, to pay for different events, maybe some places where the money was put at the time. And at one time I had talked to you guys about, maybe transferring that back to the general fund. But I can tell you that there's about $13,000 sitting there. So that's something that's sitting there too. You're talking about community development. This is maybe something that could be used for that too, if need be.
Yeah.
But it is there. It is something that's there that might come in handy to this situation too. Just thinking, I know you're trying to look to stay under that tax cap, to keep this increase steady at what you've got right now. And so with this situation, with the solar, you do have some other options other than exceeding that tax cap and adding to this budget.
Yeah.
Just a thought. I'm just trying to give you information that help you guys base your decisions on what you want to do.
Certainly not inclined to
Thanks.
add more money.
Very helpful.
Thanks. I'm sorry, what was that, Joel?
I'm certainly not inclined to add more money, raise more money in taxes to
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do. I sort of, when we start the budget process, I spend a lot of time listening to see where you guys' minds are. And I can see your minds are to keep that budget down, keep that, under a cap. There's no doubt we do have to increase our levy. We definitely have to do that. We have things that are increasing it. The expenses. I mean, union mandated increases in salaries. There was an 8% increase in health insurance this year. There was a little bit more of an employee contribution that was put into that contract, but that 8% there. So just looking at some of those and making the other projections, I think that was great in the highway where we were able to keep those contractual lines steady.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them steady. We budgeted in the past for some worst case scenarios. We were able to keep it steady, and that really helped out a lot in the highway as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we talked about the solar. And I know that was something you guys wanted to do. For the budget, what I was thinking about for next time, I don't know if you guys want to schedule another meeting or if you just want to wait till the first meeting in November. We'll have those items separated out for your central communication, the amounts that are going to be used for the and what have been used for your websites, etc. Have some answers about the ARPA. And that's really the issues at that point. 1,050, from what I'm hearing too. The Park Association asked for $850 more. And the reason that they would like that is there's an increase in cost in fuel and an increase in cost of the porta potty rentals or something. Some of those types of subjects, just some increase in cost there. So they asked for $850, and Marnie for the youth services asked for $200. So that's $1,050. That $1,050, we can add that to the amount. $1,050. It's not a lot to that fund balance amount. I kind of looked over the account numbers and some of the things in the accounts. I don't know if taking away from those budgeted amounts is, taking away from any for that.
We're
But the $1,050.
You're under the tax cap by
600.
600.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to stay under the tax cap, and fund those additional requests, we have to come up with a little bit of the money transferred from someplace else.
Someplace else, or that fund balance amount.
Yeah, we can use that. That doesn't.
$1,050
doesn't deplete.
$1,050 is nothing compared to that amount you guys have in the bank. Right.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
So that would bring that up to a little over 40,000. And in the past, at times, we've used 50 to 60,000 sometimes in that. Not often, but we are doing that. And now in highway, we're slowly moving that number down. But we'll see what happens with assessments and how things go with that. So that's the story. That's what we did. That's what we did. If that helps at all. So in the next meeting, we could go, I was thinking we'd go through some of those, where the allocations between accounts, to sharpen that up. Give you some final, make sure and none of them, the tax rate would stay the same. I do want to double check the assessments though. Sometimes we go through a budget process and we have $1 amount for assessments and they have a few changes that have come in here or there. And I want to make sure the sources are right to make sure there are no changes in that because that does affect the tax rate if those assessments change. But we'll do that double check there. I think we're pretty solid with it, but we want to do that. You know what the levy increase is, and we know, and we know what the tax cap is, because, is the state mandates that tax cap. We have to go by their growth rate factors for increases in showing us that amount. Is it a benefit? Years ago, everybody would get a refund, a small refund in the mail. If your town, now they've done away with that, but at least there is a tax cap, something that, and like I said, when we did the budget, we had no idea what the tax cap was. We were trying to get into our form. We had some things. So it was like trying to keep things down as much as possible and still being responsible, putting it together. And then once it was all done, then we found out what our tax cap was and we stayed under it. So just that suggested amount from the state, it is a goal to meet and to even be well below it. And in some previous years, we have been well below it and then got credits in the next year towards things. But as things have gone for the last few years and the increases in prices, it's been a little difficult to do.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Okay.
So next time we can tweak it.
Yeah.
Got time, because when do we have the budget? We have to adopt the budget by. Laura, do you have the calendar? When do we have to adopt the budget by? I don't have the calendar in front of me. You have to be careful because we have to schedule a public hearing before you pass it. I think it's not that far into November. It's so many days after the election. So, right. And if we have, we have to have the budget. Well, if we don't make changes, the tentative becomes the preliminary and it becomes the budget.
Do you want me to tell you?
You know
Yeah. So sorry, I just lost it actually.
Of course, about the budget calendar, when does the budget need to be adopted by?
Yep. So the town board has to revise and adopt the preliminary budget by Friday, October 27th, Friday, October 28th. You need to publish notice of the public hearing between Sunday, October 29th and just scrolling, I'm scrolling. November. November 4th, I think. And then the budget must be adopted by Monday, November 20th.
And I once again forgot to bring my calendar.
What's the last date for the public hearing?
Well, if we have to adopt it by the 20th, doesn't that back you up, like 5 days before that?
No,
No.
she had it earlier.
No, the budget, the last day the budget public hearing should be held is Friday, November 10th.
Here's a calendar.
Yes.
If that helps. Oh, then we just move it up.
This is all written in the Zoho calendar, by the way.
Is it? No doubt. So our regular meetings, the first meeting is not till the 7th of November.
On election day.
How about that? Yep, it's going to be election day. Let's remove it. That's happened before. It was a problem when the voting was here,
Okay.
but it's not. And then,
If we have the public hearing at the next meeting, that would mean on election day. I'm not sure a public hearing on election day is a good idea.
No.
Which means we need an extra meeting for the
we have a
public
couple
hearing.
problems here because the second meeting in November is the day before Thanksgiving.
We need to deal with the first one first.
If we moved into the first week before election day.
Well, the first of November is a Wednesday. But there's no reason why we couldn't meet then.
Well, if we have a budget meeting, if, it doesn't have to be on the regular days.
It
No.
seems like we should have another meeting, a budget meeting, just a budget meeting to look over these
Yeah.
last things.
Kind of looking that way to me.
This week or early next week.
Today is the 18th. Well, we need
You guys decide, but
Mhm.
I'm just thinking.
next week.
I need for you to put it together.
Mhm.
Oh, good.
How about something like, that anybody be available Wednesday at some point?
I was just looking at Wednesday too.
Just give me a couple extra days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of put it together.
Yeah, Wednesday next week, Wednesday sounds good.
25th.
Right, that's it.
Mhm. And we could at that meeting then schedule a public hearing,
Yes, if it's an official meeting.
right? I move that we have a budget focused meeting of the board on the 25th of October at 6 o'clock.
What
Did you say
day?
25 or 26 of October?
Day of the week?
Wednesday the 25th.
Okay, thank you.
What do you want, a second? That?
Second,
I think I'm with that.
I think it's okay, pick up my calendar, but
So the 24th is when we have the
Six.
special CAC meeting.
yeah. But not Wednesday. I think it's okay. Any,
that- Pat or Leslie that just seconded?
I
mean,
did,
Catherine. Pat?
What?
yes.
Oh, are you are we
No,
voting?
no.
I'm sorry.
no,
Yep.
voting, we just, who seconded the motion?
Oh, sorry.
It was Pat. Okay, so we have a motion to have a budget focused meeting on the 25th, Wednesday, the 25th at 6 o'clock. And at which point we'll probably also set public hearing time. That is a hand raised. Can't imagine why. Speak.
Did you say
Comment,
speak?
Yes, I did.
Just a question. I mean, someone made a very good observation that you don't want to be having a public hearing on election day.
And nothing issue is when we might want to reschedule.
So you should probably keep in mind the date of your special meeting, 10 days notice, or whatever public hearing notice time, it all figures together. That's it.
Yeah,
We need to vote on this motion first.
yeah, let's get one motion out of the way and then we can adjust the meeting times, because both of those meetings are problematic in November. So let's, I think we're ready to vote, right? For that-
Yes.
This week meeting, yeah. Okay, Janice?
Connors. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes. Now, the other problem is both November meetings are on days that we might otherwise choose not to have them on.
Well, public hearing needs to be on or before the Thursday following the general election.
Right, so that if we don't have it on Tuesday, the 7th, we've only got 2 other days that we can have it on. It would either be Wednesday or Thursday. Right? Of November.
Right. So Wednesday is November 8th.
Yeah. Thursday, November 9th.
I think we should shoot for Wednesday.
Safer to give, not to do it at the very last minute.
Yeah.
8th is better, safer.
Okay, so, I hear a motion from Leslie that we move the first meeting in November to the 8th, Wednesday, the 8th, usual time, 6 o'clock. Look at that.
When would the second meeting be?
That's next month. Unless you want to put them on the same motion.
We could, we can come with it.
Oh, what we told we should put more than one thing in a motion.
Okay, we could just do
Put
that.
one thing in a motion.
Okay, did we move and second that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
So we can
who
vote.
seconded?
Joel?
Leslie made it and I seconded it.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't hear that.
November 8th,
November 8th, 6th.
public hearing.
Well, we didn't set the public hearing.
No, not yet.
We'll probably do that at the next meeting, but
We better set it now. because
Public
we don't have
hearing
much
has to
choice.
be on or before the Thursday following the general election.
And you have to have enough notice on it. So we
So-
should say now
so
that it's
if
going
we're
to the
gonna-
public hearing.
Have the public hearing on November 8th.
okay.
Um,
I just wondered whether you could schedule a public hearing for a budget hasn't been completed yet.
Of course.
But I think when you set a public hearing date, the material for the meeting is supposed to be available.
right,
But I don't know, but as I think about it, it only has to be available in the public notice period.
Yeah.
Yeah, by which point we will have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, so the motion has been amended, and I accept the amendment, to both move the meeting to the 8th and schedule the public hearing on the budget for that meeting. Right? Any public hearing at 6. Any other comments before we go on? Okay, Janice.
Once again, Connors,
yes,
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes. What about the second meeting? The second meeting is the day before Thanksgiving. That's,
well, we can have the public hearing on November 8th. The budget doesn't have to be adopted.
the 20th,
No later than November 20th.
right. So
So,
we could back off of the Thanksgiving thing by moving early in the week. Well, we could do it on the 20th,
what day of the week is that?
Monday.
We could.
Yeah, we could. That could happen earlier. It's fairly likely that we won't change it, but you never know. we could deal with that at that first meeting.
Right,
You know, if we feel like we want to tweak it some more,
right.
we can schedule another meeting. But why don't we move the regular meeting away from Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
If we were to tweak it some more, I mean, the 20th is the last opportunity, but, that would be okay. If we, because the probability is low that we'll actually do it. Acceptable, I would move that we move the second regular meeting in November to the Monday the 20th. At 6.
okay.
Second,
Okay.
Further discussion? About whether to make the second meeting.
Discussion, is that what you just
Yeah,
asked?
yeah.
I think we should.
Okay, Janice?
Connors,
Yes,
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
okay, so the 25th, the 8th, and the 20th.
Great. Anything in particularly want to have an agenda next time, other than the continued discussion of the noise law?
Oh, that's
Talking
it.
about the next regular meeting, not,
Yeah,
not.
right, right.
talking about on the
I think that was in,
No, the November 8th meeting.
November 8th.
Yeah. That won't involve, you know, our huddle over the noise law.
Wait, what? That's the next meeting.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Not either. See how it goes. But there are always stuff. There's a bunch of stuff I could put on, so
I
I'm
know.
sort of holding off on.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. That completes the agenda. I didn't notice that we went past our cutoff time.
A while ago.
Yeah. So, I'm willing to say the meeting is adjourned at this point. A little bit late, but,
better late than never.
but it felt like it was reasonable.
Technically, you started after the public
Okay.
hearing.
All right, say again?
Technically, you started after the public hearing stopped.
which is only 10 minutes, so.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
You're 10 minutes over.
that's true. I forgot about that, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
But he's moving.